All right, good morning, traders. Today's August 25th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. Little glitchy. All right, let me pause that. Let me pause. Here, one more time. All right, good morning, traders. Today is August 25th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That is the day trading service for the hit and run candlesticks family. Thank you so much for being with us today. Hey, thank you everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land, everybody that follows my content on YouTube, Twitter, X, and Rumble, and one more, Facebook. That's the one. There we go. All right. So thank you, everybody out there. Thank you for the kind comments. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for sharing my content. Special shout out to John Jordan, Bob Jordan, Kathy Sarah Roasted. Thank you for sharing the content. Appreciate that. Love that. Thank you for following me on my trading journey. All right, so today is how we're going to trade SPY. Before we get into that, let's go ahead and look at what happened yesterday, all right? Oh, wait, before we get into that, let's start with some announcements. I have an announcement to make. Tomorrow, hit and run candlesticks, all right? Speaker there, leader there, head instructor there, Rick Sadler, all right? It's going to have open house. It's free. It's no charge. Nada. All right. So easy to get in. All right. Not going to cost you an arm and leg. It's free. All right. All you got to do is register. All right. And if you can't wait for the video description, you can just take your smartphone, scan the QR code, and fill out the web page that pops up there. Okay. And they will send you credentials to get into the hit and run candlesticks trading room tomorrow. Now, Rick starts at about, there's his schedule right there. It says 8:45, all right? But he comes in at 8:30 and does live charts and targets. Okay, so that's a good way to be successful, is by being prepared. All right, so if you want to be prepared, you actually want to be profitable tomorrow, really give it some good hard thought about being there at 7:30 so you can take advantage of live charts and targets. And he's available to ask some questions too. All right, so that's tomorrow. All right, August 26, 2025. He said it's going to start at 8:45, but trust me, he starts at 7:30, 7:45, and he does live charts and targets, breaks down the market, what happened last week, what happened on Friday, what happened on Monday, and he gets you prepared for the whole day. There's his whole itinerary for the open house schedule right there. Takes a break till 9:25, and then he gets 9:25, he starts getting ready for trading, all right? So there you go, hit and run candlesticks trading room. All right, again, no charge to attend. All you got to do is register. All right, there's the QR code. I will leave a link in the description. All right, today is August 25th. Good morning again. My SPY pivot 643. Above it I'm a bull, below it I'm a bear. IWM made a new rally high on Friday. New rally high, okay? Starting from April, that was that pivot low or that valley low. Okay, so IWM makes a new rally high. Get this. Diamond Dow makes a new all-time high on Friday. Okay? Markets are still bullish. All right, FNGU and QQQ made higher highs and higher lows, closing over bearish traps and over their 17 EMA. SPY made higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap and over the 17 EMA. Let me just say this, they got within probably 66 cents, maybe 50 cents of the all-time high on Friday, okay? They're not messing around. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend. 10-minute is questionable. They were in a downtrend, but they were in a cross. So then they were going to cross over. So I'm just going to call it 10-minute consolidation, all right? Because it was really just moving to the right, just from the big move, just processing the big move. So I'm going to call it 10-minute consolidation. No real edge to the bears, no real edge to the bulls at the end of the day, other than that nice bull flag that they left us in with the consolidation, moving over to the right after tagging that 640, 650 area. All right, gold, still in a daily downtrend, made an outside day. Gold is still over 300. It's been there for 4 months now, okay? That's bullish. That's a show of strength, okay? Made an outside day. That's a higher high and a lower low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. USO in a daily downtrend, all right? Made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap and over the 17 EMA. UNG made a new all-time low. Okay, that was to be expected. Silver's still in an back to being in an uptrend. Made a higher high and a lower low. Same thing as an outside day. Closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. US dollar index still in that uptrend, closed near the 97.74. I got to revisit that, make sure that's still in an uptrend. I think that still is, all right? In an uptrend, but in a bear flag, so it's got a little mini uptrend inside that bear flag. SPY Max Pain 641 with a put to call ratio of about 1 put to each call that expires today at 4:15. We had big green candles yesterday, so we got a lot of stuff that came close to doing the breakout dance, all right? So you can see if they got a little star next to them, they're getting close to do the breakout dance, all right? So if they got a little star, and the ones that had stars, you notice they did the breakout. GTX had the star, no longer has the star because they actually did the dance, all right? They did the breakout, okay? All of these right through here. Now we got some older ones that never had a star, now coming back to those breakout areas, getting ready to break out. So we'll see if they get any follow through this morning. Again, look for those 5-minute, 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, okay? Don't get faked out. Same thing over here on the bears, okay? We got same ones still in that platform to break down to the lower area. All right, RDW, AMAT, and the new one here is ball. All right, so there you go. So all of these should be, all right, above the 17 EMA and in uptrends. All of these in the bears over here should be in downtrends and below the 17 EMA. All right, let's go take a look at some charts this morning. All right, you can see SPY. Big, impressive green candle all the way up to the top here. You can see that's the all-time high right there. You can see right there. Definite attack on the all-time high, getting a little pullback this morning. Okay, so nice higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap, over the 17 EMA. See that 17 green dots? All right, got the 3 on top of the 8. Okay, nice uptrend. Still hanging on to that uptrend. If we zoom way out, you can see we're at the top of quadrant 4. That's got to be bullish. Okay, haven't made a lower low. Everything is still intact. We're still in an uptrend, and we're still bullish up there. Okay, whenever we see price, get the drawing tools out. Come on, people. They're coming. Here we are. All right. Whenever we see price, okay, move up and then over to the right, that's a bullish. All right. That's like planking. All right. That's like doing push-ups and holding up there for extended period of time. Okay. That's a show of strength. Okay. Move up and over to the right. That is a show of strength. That is a bullish behavior. That is a bullish environment. Okay. So what do I like? I'm going to tell you right now what I like. If you don't know what I like, all right, it is, okay? You don't even have to write it down because you probably heard it 30, 40 times. It's a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. That's inside of a 2-hour uptrend. That happens to be inside of a daily uptrend. That happens to be inside of a weekly uptrend. That happens to be inside of a monthly uptrend, okay? You got all the forces of nature, all the planets aligned, pulling and pushing wind into those sails so price rises higher, okay? That's my favorite, all right? It's very rare opportunity right now to have all of that working for you at the same time. Trust me, in the future, you're not going to see that, okay? There'll always be either one or two of them that are working against you. All right, but right now we have all of them working for us. So that is my favorite setup. All right, 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. So let's take a look at the 2-hour chart, and as you can see, the 3 EMA is on top of the 8. That's a 2-hour uptrend. You can see on the daily, the 3 is over the 8. That is a daily uptrend. On the weekly, you can see that the 3 is over the 8, okay, and that is a daily uptrend. Look at the 17, see the green dots, kind of confirming that daily uptrend. Back to the daily again, see the green dots, kind of confirming that daily uptrend. Look at the monthly, okay, look at all the green dots there, okay, 3 EMA, which is the yellow line, over the 8 EMA, still in an uptrend. Okay? Listen, it's bullish till it's not. Okay? Don't try to call tops. Don't try to call bottoms. You'll make your best money when you find the trend and trade that trend between the tops and the bottoms. It's that fat section in the middle between the top and the bottom. That's where the easy money is, okay? Trying to pick the top is difficult and costly. Trying to pick the bottom is difficult and costly. You want an easy life? Trade the fat section between the highs and the lows. Seriously, it works. It does. I mean, I've got multiple P&Ls to show you that it works, okay? So, there's SPY, monthly, weekly, daily, 2-hour, 10, all in uptrends. Let's take a look at the 10-minute, all right? We're going to zoom back here. You can see price, the 3 EMA crosses under the 8, then back over the 8, then under the 8, and then back over the 8. So I'm not going to call it a 10-minute uptrend or a downtrend. I'm going to call that consolidation because price did the bullish stance, all right? The bullish dance. It moved up and over to the right, okay? That's bullish. That's a bullish behavior right there. So that's what we're looking at this morning. Okay, so again, I'll be looking for 10-minute uptrends. Maybe they have to cool off for another 4 hours. We'll see, all right? I like it when it moves up, cools off for 4 hours, and then has a breakout. So how did we make money on Friday? Maybe I can show you. I don't know if they got... No, I can't show you how we made money on Friday. Maybe I can. Maybe. Let's see what we got here. If I can pull this over just a little bit. Okay, so on Friday, okay, you had some consolidation, all right, right here. See how this moves up and then consolidates over to the right. Well, see the breakout right there? Well, that's what we had. We had a breakout that looked just like this in the pre-market. And we actually had in the pre-market consolidation on top of consolidation, which is another form of bullish environment. All right. So in the pre-market, we had a break. So we had a section of candles moving over to the right, just holding that higher ground. Well, price not gapped up, but ripped over the top, and we traded the breakout of the consolidation to the upside, and that's how we made good money yesterday on this 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Notice 10-minute uptrend lasted from, I don't know, from the opening up until about, well, I'll just call it the high up there. See if I can get the crosshairs up. Till about right, really the 3 crosses the 8 right there. So it lasted till about noon right there. And then you can see the rest of the day is nothing but consolidation. So I'd be looking for a breakout again over the consolidation. We'll see what happens. Like right over this line, right through here. Okay, something right up over that. That would be nice to find a breakout over that in the morning session. We'll see what happens. Right now we're much lower than where we closed. I would expect a gap fill at least. I'll be surprised if we don't open up above where we closed yesterday, and if we open up below, if we don't gap fill, I'll be surprised if we don't gap fill. All right, that'll be a big warning sign for me if we don't gap fill. All right, so but there it is, SPY on the 10-minute chart. Moving up and holding that higher ground. Okay, that's a bullish environment. All right, let's take a look at QQQ. No, let's take a look at the game plan. All right, so here's the game plan for today's SPY game plan. Let's see if I can pull all of this into focus and slide it over just a little bit. All right, so game plan. Okay, so obviously up over these wicks up here. So over 646.60, that is a green erases red entry. Actually, for me, right over the top of this base, right there, in the pre-market, post-market, that's going to be an entry for me right there. 645.90, okay? But 646.60, that is the green erases red entry. Okay, again, 645.90 is going to be an entry for me right there, okay? Pivot 643, above it I'm a bull, below it I'm a bear. Okay, and below 639.30 we have a red erases green. In other words, the bulls pushed it all the way up here. If the bears manage to push it all the way back down to here where we left off, okay, that will be the red erases green entry under here, okay, right under 639.30. Okay, if they can close 10-minute candles down there. All right, 639.30, and I would look for a target of this purple line. That would be my first target, 637.19. Okay, that would be my first target on the downside. But we're not even going to talk about that, okay, because I don't think we're going there. I think we're going to the high side. We'll see what happens, but it's looking good. So there's the SPY game plan. I like 4 days till expiration Friday options on the multiple of 5, $3 to $15 out of the money. So strikes with $3 to $15 out of the money. Okay, I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. Of course, you already know that. Breaking away from VWAP, as you can see, here's price ripping over VWAP on the 10-minute chart. See the separation from the brown line and the trap. That would be the 3 and the 8 and the price action. I like that a lot, okay? So there's SPY on the 10-minute chart. That's what we like, okay? So you got, here's the green erase red entry over 646.60. Again, I like 645.90, all right? SPY, 643 is a pivot, all right? And down here, 639.30, that's the bear rate, that's the red erases green entry. That's right, red erases green down there. Okay, so there's SPY. Let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ got kind of the same setup going on. See if we can pull all this into focus again. QQQ pivot 569.90. All right, above it I'm a bull, below it I'm a bear. Okay, green erases red again up over the tops of these. See that peak up there on the 10-minute chart? So up over that peak, okay, right into those wicks up there. That's 565.45. Above that, that's the green erases red entry. All right, the red erases green is underneath 566.35. You get 10-minute candles closing down there. That would be where I'd be interested in 10-minute downtrend, okay? All right. Now, not to say that I won't trade a 10-minute uptrend long before it gets to the green erases red entry, right? If I happen to see a green erases red trend manifest down here long before the green erases red, okay, if it happens to manifest and it breaks the rubber band, the bullish 10-minute rubber band candle, I'll be highly interested in trading it to the upside because the market is bullish. All right, the same thing on the red, on the bearish side. If a 10-minute downtrend happens to manifest up here in above the pivot or above the green, long before the red erases green entry, way down here, okay, I'd be partially interested in trading it, and I say partially because the markets are bullish. All right, I'm not really. I don't really like to trade counter trend. I'd rather stay with the market trend. All right, so I prefer the uptrends because the market is bullish. All right, but we may get a 10-minute downtrend that happens to manifest up here or above the pivot. All right, and if it breaks the rubber band, the bearish 10-minute rubber band candle, I'd be interested, partially interested in trading it to the downside back down here. Okay, just saying that it's not written up here in my plan, but that is part of my plan. Again, I prefer the uptrends because the markets are bullish. All right, again, trading counter trend never worked out for the coyote most of the time, okay? Not always, but sometimes does not work out for the coyote. So be careful when you trade counter trend, and the markets are bullish. All right, let's take a look at a few other indexes here, and then we're going to go visit our technicals and see what's going on in there. Okay, so first head off with the daily chart. All right, let's move. Let's go to something exciting. All right, how about something hitting a new rally high? Well, this is a new all-time. There's a lot of way too much going on there. Don't read all of that. All of this is irrelevant. Okay. Don't know how it all got on there, people, but it does. All right, so, and another one. I'll leave that one. All right, so here's price action, okay? Yesterday, this was the all-time high right here. Okay? New all-time high for Diamond Dow. Okay, talk about excitement. There it is. Consolidation breakout. Again, I try to emphasize this time after time. Price moves up, holds the higher ground. That's bullish. Price moves up. Okay, I know it's kind of sloppy. Holds the higher ground. That's bullish. Price moves up, holds the higher ground. That's bullish. All right? Right there, bullish environment. And hence, what are we getting today after all of this bullishness? All right? And holding the higher ground. That's a show of strength. Okay? Is a new all-time high on Diamond Dow. Okay? Let's go take a look at something with a new rally high. Okay? How about that one? IWM. Okay, there is the all-time high right there. This is the pink line all-time high anchored VWAP. This is the valley low of April. This is the new rally high, okay, up here in quadrant 4 for IWM. Hey, baby, that's bullish, all right? That's in an uptrend, making new highs, okay? That's bullish. Same with Diamond Dow. Drop the mic. It doesn't get any better than that, okay? So this is bullish and in an uptrend. Markets are still bullish. Let's take a look at one more, FNGU. Okay, FNGU moving up, still holding that higher ground up there. Having a little more trouble than some of the other indexes. Again, this is only 10 products inside this ETN. Okay, price moves up and over there. Okay, notice it's not in the same shape as the other indexes. You notice QQQ, SPY attacking the all-time highs, IWM making a new rally high, Diamond Dow making a new all-time high. See, FNGU not quite as amped up or as the others. Okay, so it's not in the same position, but it's still holding the higher ground. It's still in quadrant 4. All right, it's still in a downtrend. Okay, just something to make a note of. That one is still in a downtrend, and this one is the one that jerks QQQ and SPY around. Okay, this is the one. All right, because when these 10 of the heaviest weighted stocks, or securities inside QQQ and SPY, when they move as a pack, they can, doesn't matter what the others do, they can jerk those indexes in the direction that they're moving. Okay, so here's price action for FNGU. Again, higher low, higher high, closing over the trap, but under the 17 EMA right there. Okay, so there's FNGU on the daily chart, still consolidating up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish, but in a downtrend. All right, that's not moving down. All right, let's face it. It was moving, got itself into a downtrend right here when it took out that little low below the 17. Okay, and since then it kept moving up. Well, then it started to roll over last week, and right there you can see the 3-bar rollover. All right, so now price again not moving down. All right, was moving down, but now it's kind of erasing that. So FNGU still in a downtrend that's not quite working. It's more moving over to the right and still bullish up there in quadrant 4. On our technicals, T21.01. Look at the breath coming in, okay, for this bullish rally, okay? That is a good sign. Looked like they were losing breath, losing steam over here. See all the kept getting lower and lower and lower and lower, okay? This would be like, how would this be like the RPMs on your car engine, okay? Okay, for sure I get, 500, 1,000. This would be like 2,000 right here, okay? See, the RPMs are increasing, all right? So the momentum is increasing. So this is the breadth of the uptrend, okay? Now, keep in mind, there'll be a point when the breadth will flip, and it will be about the downtrend, okay? All right? And price will start to rise as it gets into that downtrend. The numbers will be speaking about the downtrend. So this is about the uptrend right now, and you can see the breadth is increasing. That is a good sign. And a higher low and a higher high. That is a good sign for the momentum of the bullish price action that we have. Okay, so that's T21.01. Let's take a look at T21.22. You can see we spent the day up here in the overbought zone. Okay, I don't like it all the way up there. I like it kind of like in here with room to move. But that was all the way at the top. That's too high for me, all right? Tend to get a reversal from there. We'll see where this reversal takes us. You can see 10-minute is now consolidating in the post-market, pre-market, under prior consolidation. So not a big fan of that, all right? But that's what happens when you hit the overbought zone, okay? So you can see we zipped up there, airborne all the way over the buy zone, and we just camped out up here in the overbought zone all day long on Friday. Very, very, very bullish there. Now, not to say that it can't do this again today. It won't make this trip, all right, from here up, but it could continue camping out here maybe 3 or 4 days. We'll see. T21.23, all right. I just got to look. I got to know if that's a new all-time high. I don't even know. I don't even know. No, not yet. Okay. That is these two pivot highs. Remember I was talking about this consolidation over here to the left? Well, here we got price action challenging those two peaks there. Once we get past the two peaks, okay, all that's left is the all-time high. I really think we're going to set a new all-time high. Here's 15-minute chart, okay? We're making highs. Here's some higher highs up here. See, I got a high, higher high, higher high, even higher highs. So this is an uptrend. We're just making higher lows and higher highs. It's in an uptrend. It's up over the 200 SMA. That's bullish. Look at this bullish gap that never got filled. Okay, that's a clue right there. Okay, price moves up and over to the right. That's bullish. Consolidation over prior consolidation. Again, that's bullish. All right. When you see price, okay, consolidate. Let's just zip that off right there. Over, okay, prior consolidation. That's bullish. All right. Again, consolidating over prior consolidation. That's bullish. All right. So you can see price rips up there. All right. Making new higher highs. We're up over the 200 SMA. That's bullish. This is T21, 23, 3-bar chart. Let's take a look at T21, 20. No, that was 15-minute chart. Here's our 3-bar chart. Okay, you can see we were up there. We were attacking. I'm going to put the crosshairs on it. See these two all-time highs, these two highs right here. These two peaks. Okay, we get past those two peaks. All that's left is the all-time high. And I really think we're going to set some new all-time highs for T21-23. We'll see. All right, I am a positive person. Glass is half full. Okay, here's 200 SMA. All right, we're up over the 200 SMA. That's bullish. You can see some highs. Some highs. All right, this is a new rally high for T21-23. You can see how close we are to the all-time highs. All right, that's this green line up here. Okay, so that's bullish. All right, again, you got a bullish gap up that never got filled by the bears. Another bullish gap on Friday. Okay, not filled by the bears. That's a sign of bulls. That's bullish right there. Okay, so there's T21, 23, 3-bar chart. FNGU. All right, on Friday. Okay, ripping up, coming back to the 200 SMA. Okay, I hope we don't roll over. I hope we just kind of hold on here and kind of melt up through the 200. We'll see, all right? We're going to look for higher lows and higher highs. So far, I see a pennant consolidation through here. So we'll see what happens. Green right out of the gate all the way till almost the end of the day. And that's when the bulls left early and the bears took over for 2 of those 15-minute segments on FNGU. Let's take a look at a few sectors here. All right, let's take a look at gold. All right, gold. All right, still, well, gold in an uptrend because they took out that high. Still up over 300. Still holding the higher ground, top of quadrant 4. See the quadrants? Quadrant 4. Don't know how all this stuff got on there. It's not necessary. Okay, that's quadrant 4. That's bullish. All right, up over 300 now for like 3-4 months now. That's bullish and in an up, back into an uptrend, making a higher high there. Silver making the outside day. That's a lower low, higher high, closing back into the uptrend up there. Up near the top of quadrant 4, that's bullish. That is a 12-year high up there. That's a 12-year high right there. Not an all-time high, but a 12-year high. Bullish and back into an uptrend. UNG made a new all-time low. Okay, so that's bearish and in a downtrend. Quadrant 1, that's bearish. Okay, see all the red dots? Downtrend. Okay, you can see where Red dots are pointed downtrend right there. Okay, so UNG, new all-time low yesterday, and putting in another new all-time low again today. Okay, let's take a look at USO. USO got a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. Again, USO got a habit of moving up and giving it up. Moving up, give it up. Move it up, give it up. That's all they do, all right? So they're just neutral. So they're not ready yet. Not ready yet. You got to see them move up and hold the higher ground. Okay, notice they went up, held the higher ground, and they had a nice little breakout into quadrant 4, but they couldn't hold that higher ground, so we came tumbling back down to the point of origin back here, okay? So now here we are again, trying to make that trip back up, either show us they can hold the higher ground for once. All right, so there's USO on the daily chart, still in a downtrend, all right, because they haven't made a higher high, all right, and just neutral right through here, okay? That's USO, okay? Let's take a look at SMH. Okay, SMH still bullish and in a downtrend right here, because there's the low. They made a lower low, okay? So bullish and in a downtrend, XLK, okay? Again, they made a lower low, all right? So in a downtrend, but still bullish up there in quadrant 4. Probably just consolidating. We'll see what happens. XLF. XLF's looking fantastic, all right? So here's XLF on Friday, new all-time high. Okay, drop the mic. Doesn't get any better than that right there. XLF, okay? IYT. Transports, beautiful candle there. Is that a new rally high? Well, it is. New rally high for the transports. Here's the April low. New rally high for transports way up here. Quadrant 4, that's bullish and in an uptrend. Of course, it's a new rally high right there. Let's take a look at our economic package. Okay, SPY Max Pain 641. Put to call ratio, a little over 1 put to each call that expires today. US dollar index, okay, still in that bear flag and still in a downtrend. Closed near the 97.74 area last night. Earnings report. Okay, we have on the menu for today. PDD Holdings comes out this morning, 174 billion. All right, everybody else just familiar names, not really market movers, but they will probably help out their sectors. Okay, Tuesday. Come on. Bank of Montreal, okay, again, some Bank of Nova Scotia. Again, some more familiar names. Nothing really here that's going to move the markets. Wednesday's the main event. After the close, $4.2 trillion from NVIDIA going to report Wednesday evening right there. Okay, in addition to that, Royal Bank of Canada is going to report Wednesday morning, 191 billion. CrowdStrike, 103 billion in the morning. In the evening with NVIDIA. Okay, which will probably not be a headline compared to NVIDIA. Thursday, Toronto Dominion Bank, 128 billion. They report in the morning. Friday, Alibaba is going to report 283 billion. They report in the morning. And that's it. Everybody else, just familiar names, not really market movers. Okay, right there. That's the earnings calendar. So Wednesday evening, all right, this is like an economic, how do I say this? This is like economic news, all right? This is capable of moving the markets like we saw yesterday, all right? Remember what we saw, Friday, what we saw Friday, big move like that? Well, that's what this is capable of doing to the markets, okay? So think about being delta neutral or being hedged for Wednesday evening. We'll see. I think a lot of this stuff now is already baked in, so be careful out there. On the economic calendar for today, housing market index comes out at 10, and that's about it for today. Tuesday, we've got housing starts and permits 8:30. That's tomorrow morning. And that's it. A lot of auctions, all right, or bills. All right. Wednesday, what do we got? We got NBA mortgage applications, 7 o'clock. Atlanta Fed business inflation expectations, 10 o'clock. Petroleum report, 10:30. Buyback announcements, FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. All right. Thursday, we'll just cover these later on in the week. All right. And it looks like Powell's got something to say about monetary policy on Friday. Well, that will be a headliner there. All right. All right. So we got some FOMC minutes at 2. All right. That'll be a market mover. That's possibly a market mover. And then we've got Powell making another statement on Friday. That will probably be the main event right there on Friday. So we'll see what happens. All right, that's it for me for this morning. Thanks, John, for sharing that. Thanks, Jim. That's last week's schedule. I did it again. All right, here we are. Chicago Fed this morning. Thanks for letting me know, Jim. Looking like a fool up there. All right, Chicago Fed National Activity Index 8:30 today. Already came out because it's 8:45. New home sales 10 o'clock. Dallas Fed Manufacturing Survey 10:30. Tuesday, durable goods. This is tomorrow morning, 8:30. Okay. Case-Shiller Home Price Index 9 o'clock. FHFA House Price Index. If you didn't get one house price index, we're going to give you 2, all right, for the price of 1 on Tuesday. Consumers' confidence comes out at 10 o'clock. That's it. Wednesday, we got mortgage applications at 7 o'clock again, just like last Wednesday. Petroleum report at 10:30, just like last Wednesday. All right. Thursday, we've got GDP. There's our headliner for this week. It's GDP at 8:30 on Thursday. Jobless claims 8:30 on Thursday. All right, so GDP 8:30 on Thursday. I gotta say, GDP should look good. I heard something about Canada canceling their retaliatory tariffs, and maybe Trump will cancel ours. All right, that's what I heard in the news on a headline. I don't know if that's old news or new news, but that's what I read. All right, I'm not sure. I'm just going to call it a rumor right now because it is not confirmed. Okay, pending home sales index 10 o'clock. Gas report 10:30, almost like every Thursday at 10:30 we get the gas report. Again, the headliner is going to be GDP. All right, that's real news. Thanks, JW. All right, so the headliner is GDP 8:30 in the morning before the markets open, as well as NVIDIA earnings Wednesday night after the market closes. Okay, so a lot can happen between NVIDIA earnings and GDP between we close Wednesday night and Thursday morning. All right, so that's it for me. Let me get this video out there. I will be back in about 35-40 minutes and we'll open up the markets.